Hello there. Today I'm going to tie a fairly easy shrimp fly. It's called the STF shrimp, and it's a very nice shrimp pattern that has been in my box for quite some years and has caught a pretty large number of sea trouts. It's fairly simple. What we need is some of these very cool easy shrimp eyes. We need some dubbing, some STF dubbing, and that's the main ingredients. That's why the fly is called the STF shrimp. Then we're gonna need some Steve Farrar blend in the color shrimp, and we're gonna need some marabou, some grizzly marabou in the color tan. So what we're gonna do first off is I've cheated a bit and started out before I set the video camera going by applying some lint thread to give this to add some weight to the fly, and this is because I'd like to fish this fly at a rather high pace. I do this with most of my coastal flies for sea trout because the sea trout is a hunter, and the high pace has a lot of advantages. First of all, it makes the fly looks like a real and alive thing that's trying to escape, which makes the sea trout more likely to grab it. And second of all, if you fish at a high pace, you will get you will cover more water during the day, which will make it more likely that you will encounter a trout that actually is feeding and actually wants to be fed. Okay, so I'm gonna take one of these feathers. Just that was a bad feather. I'm gonna find another one. One of these grizzly marabou feathers. We're going to tie this in as part of the tail, and this is to imitate all the legs and the mouth, and the what do you call that in English? The horn, the thorn that is on the shrimps. So I'm just going to take. This time I've chosen 2 feathers, and I'm just going to tie these in here to kind of give a contrast to the rest of the fly. So this is going to be the tail, or at least part of the tail. Yeah, I'm fairly satisfied with the looks of that. I'm going to cut this off like that, and then I'm going to apply to give this a bit more. To give this a bit more tail, I'm going to take a small bundle of this Steve Farrar blend, and I'm just going to tie that on top here. Like that. Spread it out a bit, and then cut this off, but not in a straight cut. I'm gonna cut it off so it tapers, like that. Okay, that's the first part of the fly. Then we're ready to continue. Now what I'm going to do with the rest of the flies, I'm going to use this STF dubbing for the rest of the fly. But this is not STF dubbing as you see it when you open the package. I've done quite a lot of things to this STF dubbing. First of all, I've mixed it with 2 other different kinds of dubbing. I've mixed it with the SLF squirrel dubbing, which is natural dubbing that has a lot of very long hairs in it that looks very good on the fly. And then I've mixed it with some flash dubbing as well, some glisten dub, to make this dubbing. So if when you're mixing dubbing, you should take approximately, well, 1/3 of each. 1/3 STF dubbing, 1/3 flash dubbing, and 1/3 SLF squirrel dubbing. So first of all, I'm just gonna take a small amount of this dubbing, and I'm gonna apply this to the thread, like so, and just make a small hub, a small hub of dubbing right here, like that. And this is mainly to keep my eyes where I want them. Then I'm gonna take one of these shrimp fly eyes, and if you haven't tried these before, you definitely should. It's a very cool product made in a basement by two Danish people, and the advantage is you have both eyes on one strand here, and also as you see this part where the eyes flattens out, it has a lot of small bars. So when you tie this in, you are certain that your eyes will stay where you want it to be, and this way you completely avoid having pirate shrimp, shrimps with only one eye. So it's fairly easy to tie down, just like that. Gonna pull them out on the sides. Apply some thread like that, and then you're good to go. Your eyes are exactly where you want them to be. Then I'm gonna cut all this off, because I want my fly to taper, so it's gonna be thick in this bottom end, and then it's gonna gradually become more and more thin, like that. Then I'm gonna make a dubbing loop like this. Take the thread all the way up to the front of the fly, and then I'm gonna take some of this dubbing I've prepared, and put it inside my dubbing loop like this. Actually, I'm gonna turn this the other way around, so I get the most dubbing nearest to the hook. That way, when I spin the dubbing twister, I will get a thicker fly in this end, and then gradually tapering down to a thinner size up near the eye of the hook. Maybe I'm just gonna apply a little more to this, like that. Put in the dubbing reel and spin it. When you're using dubbing loops, it's always an advantage to use a thread that is durable, because if you use too thin a thread, you can't get this the perfect dubbing loop, because the strength of the thread will determine how tight you can make this loop, how many times you can spin it. So like that. Oops. This gives a very fluffy, very nice effect to use the dubbing loop, because you will get a fly that is that has a very large volume right now, but it will be at the same time very transparent. And that is the exact effect you want to go for when you're tying shrimp flies, because if you've ever seen a shrimp in the water, it's very translucent, very transparent, very glass-like, you might even say, and that is of course an advantage for the shrimp, because that makes it harder for the predators to see it, but that effect you would want to have in your shrimp fly patterns as well, because that makes them look more like the real thing. Like that. Gonna cut the loop off. See, there's still some thread there. Gonna cut that clean off. Tie all this down. Make a whip finish. Like so. And now the last stage of this fly commences. You take your dubbing needle and your dubbing brush, and then you brush all of the materials into the right shape. And also I've used quite a lot of materials on this fly, so I definitely need to take some of this off, otherwise it will just look like a very large bundle of fur. So you have to turn the fly over here to prepare it correctly. And if you use too much material, like it's the case for me here, you just take your fingers and just pull some of the materials out until you're satisfied. And apply the brush again. This is a size 6, which is probably the best size in general for the coastal sea trout patterns. It's the size I use the most myself, but also in a size 8, even size 10, and sometimes in size 4. This pattern works very good. Just gonna cut the tail a bit more. It was a bit too long for my taste. Like that. And there you have it.